We're back with Renee Cobb. Renee, you're with the Compton Unified School District and you run the advanced programs. Is that correct?
Yes. I run an organization or portion of Compton called Advanced Learning, which is when you're in high school, your advanced placement classes for college credit, your AVID, which is a college prep course, those programs, your visual and performing arts, your MESA, which is, we kind of laugh and call it a pre-STEAM era, which is your engineering and science achievement, math, engineering, science achievement programs.
Thank you. I'll get back to that. And Dr. Laura Nader Holloway, you're the science department chairperson here in Compton. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, Compton High School Science Department chairperson.
And this is the second year we've run this program at Compton, part of the Social Media Week.
Yes, this is our second opportunity to participate. We participated in February, and then this is our second opportunity out.
So here we are, second time. What are your thoughts? Has it grown? Has the awareness grown that Compton is part of a global digital community?
I think the awareness has grown. I know that the kids are more interested this year and they're more engaged. We've actually run straight off of the bat and took the kids out to the creek, and we're partnered with Heal the Bay and Army Corps of Engineers, and I think that's been really instrumental in getting this event up and running and getting our kids out into the field to be able to do research.
What did they think of the whole notion of the Army Corps of Engineers?
That's an interesting question. I don't think they have a notion of the Army Corps of Engineers. I know when I first came in contact with them, one of my faux pas was to say, oh, okay, so yeah, it is the bridges, right? And they said, no, we don't build the bridges. We just make sure that the plans for the bridges are correct. So there's a perception issue out there, and our kids have no idea what that means.
Renee Cobb, what was your perception of the last gentleman that spoke, this Ron Chandler, CIO of LA Unified?
Yes, I thought he did an excellent job. One of the things that I've worked in technology before prior to education, and a lot of times we like our toys. We like to protect our toys. What I liked was his attitude toward intelligence. Students that are able to work around a system are able to look at the logic and then unhook it. Mm-hmm. Those students are demonstrating high intelligence, and we need to put them to work in our favor.
Well, he's saying that one of the problems, one of his challenges, of course, is how do you get the programs in there? How do you get the technology? From the higher up part, less problem with the students, more with perception.
Well, you know, he mentioned the divide. There's an age divide too, and in our the higher ages, as we get older, we don't understand it. But the new generation, they come out. You got 2- and 3-year-olds working their iPhone as if it's something that they were born with. So technology, we all need to embrace it because it's the new world. And sometimes we go kicking and screaming. But for the most part, if we just watch the young and, you know, and prepare them, help them be ready for what the next phase is, we'll all be better off. We need to put them all to work, and all of us, literally, and sit down and let it be a collaborative learning. We can learn from them, they can learn from us.
What are some of the challenges you are facing, Madame? Is it student-based, or is it perception and the higher-ups?
Sometimes it is student-based, but the majority of it is, I think, organizational, just in recognizing where our students are and what generation we're in and how much more advanced they are. And to be able to really bring them into the community and let them know their voice is appreciated and accepted, and use that and build upon that to make our community better, because they are part of the community. I think we're better off when we recognize all of our partners, and once we do that, we're on our way, because then we can utilize all the intelligences that are in that community.
Well, it seems, young lady, that part of our problem is you are headed towards politics somewhere, and and out of the classroom. That
I don't know anything about that.
Please, Renee, tell us a little bit more about your program. The arts are included?
Yes. The other gentleman mentioned STEAM, science, technology, engineering, and math. But there's an A missing out of that, which is the arts, because as the students are designing, well, that takes an artistic eye as well. So what we've learned is we place the arts in it. So Compton, here at Compton, we have 11 bands. Every middle school has a full band, and high school. And what we have learned is that our students that are engaged in those types of things are really connected to school. And they tend to have higher academics and better attendance, et cetera, et cetera. So when we placed the bands together and we ended up doing a big event at the airport, that brought in our technology partners. So then we had the JPLs, the Raytheons, the Boeings. They came, and then we brought our engineering students from Mesa. And we really put it all together. So we had robotics that day, students were designing. All of this is part of what we call the Common Core, which is hands-on learning. Don't just teach it to us, show us what we're supposed to do with it. And that is what's so exciting about this project. Dr. Holloway is bringing students into the creek, not just looking at it or thinking about it or talking about it. These kids are going to get hands-on opportunity to do something that's for the environment. I mean, I saw the presentation from our students. They're interested. And it doesn't take that many. It takes just a small percentage to be interested to lead the way, and the rest of us will follow like sheep. Take us to the place where we're going to change this world and this country and change Compton. I'm really excited about what our students are doing today. Can you tell?
Just briefly, tell me, this is the third year you've been down at the creek, is that correct?
Yes, I believe the program has run about 3 years.
Yes.
I know that they've been working for about 10 to 15 to make it progress. This is the first year we're going to have full implementation in our department, so all of our teachers will have an opportunity to take our students out to the creek and be able to participate in the project.
When the students first see the creek, those who've never done so, what's the reactions?
It's interesting. This is the creek? Really? Why does it look like this? And it's an interesting experience for them. And then they go out there and then they start seeing things and they say, there are birds out here. And I even had the experience the first time I went. I said, there's a cottontail. I couldn't believe it. And then I found out that the cottontail was in the creek because the area next to the creek is actually being renovated for the town center, and so that was their previous habitat. And since they are renovating that, now they have displaced these animals. As we know, that's what happens when we come in as humans and start making stuff different. So we have to figure out how do we live, and how do we live, I guess the word is sustainably, so that we support the nature around us, because if we destroy nature, then where are we left? What are we left with?
So, say 5 years from now, you're still at this university and not gone off to some advocacy kind of a thing, still at the high school. What is next? The creek is now sustained again. Where do you go?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. It's out there for us to find. I know that there are opportunities for us to reach out to other ecological areas that are just like ours and say, hey, we were able to do this, so we can help you do this. With events like this, we're able to connect with different communities, not just in California, but in the nation, across the world. It's really important for kids to know they're not by themselves, and they're not in these things alone, and there's somebody out there just like them fighting the same battle. It gives them strength, and that's what we're here to do, is support those that are underneath us, so we have that support too.
And a child shall lead us. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Compton. We're back now with Tina Michelle. Tina has a program called Tina Speaks. Welcome, Tina.
Thank you for having me.
You were here at the last social media week.
I was here for the last streaming event here at Compton, science all day, everything science. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun. We got to go into the classrooms, and I specifically spoke about forensic journalism, asking the who, why, what, why, wheres in life, not just for a grade, but asking accurate questions, give you accurate information.
What was the response?
At first, there were no, they sort of stared at you, blankly. But the response after a while, when I let them understand, the young people understand, that you need to be accurate at all times, because in life, people may have a perception of you, but if we cannot agree, we can at least be accurate. So that information remains, the facts always remain, and then you'll be clear. You'll be able to communicate in a way that people will successfully receive your transmission, and you'll get a lot more out of life, because your language will locate you.
Tell us a little bit about Tina Speaks.
Tina Speaks is a platform. We do it for television, we do it for radio, we shoot everything all at the same time. It's socialized, we do a Google Hangout at the same time. So we are shooting for television, which is aired on Punch Television Network in front of 40 million people right now. And then we do it at rmconair.com, where we stream at the same time. We also loan our names to the shows. So we have Todd Bridges there, we have Michael Collier there. So I'll come and visit them and talk about what they're doing for the sake of socialization. And so we have fun. So it's not really so much what I'm saying, it's we're speaking about, we're speaking for, we're speaking with. That's what Tina Speaks is about.
Well, it's a whole platform, and I think that's wonderful. Tell us a little bit about RMC.
rmconair.com is a collaborative between Media Moguls, which is Larry Witherspoon, and Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. So what's wonderful about working within that little family, we have what we call a food distribution chain locked in. In other words, we own the TV network, we own the sound stage, we own the recording studio. We have distribution within the Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles restaurants themselves, where it's about 1 million people sitting there staring at one channel. They can't change it. So we can test the QR codes right there in that space. And then we also are probably the #1, I heard a rumor, #1 producer and aggregator of urban content nationwide in less than a year.
Well, first off, I think that deserves a round of applause.
What I love about working within this family is that the founder of Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles is very focused on community and our sound bites as brown and black people, being able to be the first responder in our own business and be able to get it out very quickly. We've had our sound bites picked up by TMZ, CNN, all originating from that little place on Pico Boulevard. We're also asking kids to come in, and we're hoping Compton will be the first mover on this, because Kevin and I from Dakar have decided to adopt the school in any way possible to produce their own content. And I will give the time for free and the text for free if the kids come with a good idea that we can really bring to light the voice of what our children really want to hear and see today.
Well, thank you. This is tremendous and wonderful. I also understand that you are bringing the UpFest.
Upfest.org will be here. Minister Tony Muhammad has partnered with us to make sure that they are here today. And what's beautiful about upfest.org, they are the Harley riders, they are the solo riders, they are the low riders. So they're sort of sexy, hot, and cool without being drug dealers and pimps, right? They're bringing hope to the community, and they've been doing this event for, every month they come into Compton and then they ride, and you see 2,000 motorcycles or low riders coming down the street in the orange. That's UpFest, United in Peace. So we're here today, a small contingency of us, so that the kids know that your science and your math will make sense. In order for the hydraulics to bounce, you have to have a little bit of science. To be in the pit of an Indy race car, you have to have a little science. It is sexy, it's not boring, and there's a sustainable path for your career there.
Tina, thank you. We'll be back in touch soon.
Very, very soon, I hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys for showing up today, this morning. We're here at Social Media Week, Compton High School. My name is Kevin Clark, one of the organizers. I want to be able to introduce you guys to a very special guest that's going to talk to you a little bit about science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. So we're going to learn a little bit about what we can do to get ourselves prepared for looking at internships, scholarships, and mentorship programs in science, technology, engineering, math. We're also going to learn today about social media, how social media can help us find these career opportunities and find ways for us to get ready to grow as we become citizens and learn how to use this technology and all the social media stuff for good. We're also going to talk about some mechanical and electrical engineering stuff a little later this afternoon. Indianapolis Comes to Compton is the name of the panel. So we're going to have cars, we're going to have mechanical engineering stuff for you guys to touch and talk to. And then later on this afternoon, we're going to have a conference called The Digital Divide, Race Matters. It's going to talk about solutions to helping you guys get over the hump and getting hands-on information as well as hardware and software to help you guys get better at getting those career opportunities. So without further ado, I want to turn the mic over to our very special guest today. His name is Ronald Chandler. I'm going to have him introduce himself and tell him, have him tell you guys a little bit about how you guys can step up to the plate and meet him on the other side, meeting a job. Here he is, Mr. Ronald Chandler. Let's give him a round of applause.
Well, good morning, students. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? All is good? So again, as Kevin mentioned, my name is Ron Chandler, and I am the Chief Information Officer of Los Angeles Unified School District. So I run IT for the district. We have, as you know, about 660,000. Many of them are your friends and your relatives that go to schools there. But I want to talk to you more today about social media and IT and technology and arts and sciences. So by show of hands, how many are interested in technology, engineering, arts, and sciences? So that's the majority of you. And what I do want to do is open it up for questions at some point in time. I don't want us to be in a situation where you have grown-ups talking to you at a level that you might not be able to feel comfortable with. So I want to understand what questions you have, because I sat in those seats. Well, not those seats. I actually grew up in New York. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and so two things. One, I went to a high school where it had an auditorium this size, and then two, my mom was my teacher, so I never got a chance to stop learning. So I had homework at school and homework at home. So let me just talk about my background. So, and we have more students coming in. I was an electrical engineer by trade, and I spent a number of years as a design engineer working on F-16, F-111, and A-12 aircraft, mostly avionics, which are computer systems and systems you find typically inside the cockpit of an airplane. But I always knew I wanted to do something technology related. My background, again, my high school was Brooklyn Technical High School, so I went to a technical high school, and our mascot was engineer. How exciting is that, right? The tech engineers didn't sound as exciting as other mascots. But what I do want to talk to you about is the excitement of this field. And so there's a saying that, and a common knowledge that over the next 15 or 20 years, there aren't going to be enough people to do these technology jobs in the United States. And we're going to have a lot of open positions, and we're going to need people to get ready for these positions. Why is this important? Is because as everything continues to become more computerized, we have to be comfortable with that, and we have to be able to get jobs. So just within LAUSD, every summer, and actually through the year, I hire a bunch of college students, mostly people from LA, to come work for us. We have about 600 people within my department, full-time, and a lot of people that work part-time. And we have probably about 67,000 employees across LAUSD. So really, really large organization. We have our systems are the same size systems as companies like Office Depot and Microsoft, really large systems. So we're going to need people. And then many of our people, our students that plan for careers in education, technology, math and science and arts actually go on to some of these companies. So what I'd like to do is, are there any questions at all? There's no such thing as a dumb question. So does anybody have a question about anything that we're talking about, anything that we think we want to know about? And I'll just keep talking, and if you have questions, throw your hand up and we'll answer questions. So we do have some questions. Yeah, we have some kids here. Oh, we have some more. Okay. Mm-hmm. Come on over. I'm a pretty friendly person on Thursdays. I'm Ron Chandler. How are you?
George Camargo.
You have
Good,
a
and
question? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. How would you help this program to become a successful program?
So the question is, how would I help it to? Well, one is to be engaged and to be here, and find out what students, the rest of the students as well, are interested in.
Yeah.
And I talk on a regular basis to not only companies like Microsoft and Apple and companies like that, but who are always looking for people to come work for them. So I can be plugged into that conversation regularly. That's if you invite me back.
Yeah.
Okay? Hi.
Hi, I'm Denise Baltazar.
Oh, hi, Denise.
So you're gonna give us like internships and help us out and stuff like that?
So we hire interns all the time. And so certainly I don't know that we have enough positions for all the students here, but we are always excited to hire students, and we do that on a regular basis. And it doesn't mean you have to be an engineering major or a science major, but typically the work that we do is around some kind of technology. Okay? Good morning. There's another microphone right here, I guess. It's not as cool as my microphone, but it's a nice microphone.
My name is Angel Savar, and I have a question about paid internships for students.
Absolutely. So we have typically, mostly they're college interns, and they get paid. Then for high school, we haven't figured that one out because it's how do you pay? We have to figure out how to do that. But sometimes there are stipends, which are just like pay, but it's called stipends. But we are planning on doing more of that. So it's a great question.
Hi, I'm
Hello.
Elizabeth Gutierrez.
Hi.
My question is, what can we do to get an internship?
So the one thing that, and not necessarily just at LAUSD, so there are other organizations and companies within LA that hire interns. And so what I will do is I'll leave my information. It's ronald.chandler@lausd.net. And you should have a resume. You should be practicing how to interview for positions, and we can help you with that as well. Okay?
My name is Alexis Hernandez. Hello. What are you going to do after this?
One more time.
What are you going to do after this?
What am I going to do after this?
Yeah.
Well, I hope I can do this for a long time, unless you heard something from somebody else that I can't. But I love what I do. So I should say that, I think I mentioned that my mother was a teacher, and she just retired last summer, but she had taught since 1966. And so I love education, and I love technology. So I see myself doing a lot of this for a long time. Right. Thank you, though.
Hi, my name is Reynaldo, and I have a question for you. In your internships that you offer us students, what kind of things do you have us do?
That's a great question. And so many things. It depends on your interest, and it depends on kind of your skills. But we train a lot of people. We have people do everything from writing reports. We have people actually going out to the school fixing technology. So when I say we run technology, this is the phone systems. These are the bells and the clocks and the PA systems. These are the computers that the students get. So it may be some of that. It may be working in the office, learning how to test new software. So a number of different things. It's a great question, though. Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Felix, and my question is, on the average, how amount of high school kids get an internship, and if so, how long does it last?
So we have, and I don't know the numbers, I can tell you that I've only been at LAUSD for 3.5 years, and we've had some of the same interns there the whole time that I've been there. And then some of them go on to college, and some of them go on to college locally and come back as interns while they're at college. And then when they graduate college, they come on permanently and work in my department. So that happens pretty regularly.
I have a question, sir. These students, this group of students, didn't hear about the gift that is going to be given to the LA Unified. And so if you could talk a little bit about that part of the process, and also talk about what kind of advocacy they can demand so that they can be part of this sort of a process.
That's a great conversation, great question. I may have to borrow your microphone. Here we go. It's on. So what I announced earlier, and many of you know this because you have family or friends that are involved in LAUSD, is we are starting the process of giving every student in LAUSD an iPad. And so we are in the first stage. So over the next 3 weeks, 47 schools, 30,000 students will get an iPad. And so this is the 5th week we've been doing this. And so we've already deployed about 14,000 iPads. So the whole idea is that over the next year and a half, every student in LAUSD gets an iPad. We think that this is the right thing to do, and it introduces a whole lot of conversation about being responsible, because you now have this thing that you're responsible for, but you're already responsible because you have textbooks now that you carry around and the other things that your school district give you. So for us, this is the right thing to do, but we don't think it's going to be long before all districts do something like this. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be an iPad, but what we have noticed is that many students are asking for a lot of technology. And so in terms of advocacy, that's something you want to do, is you want to keep on demanding that you get the tools that you need to be successful.
And the whole notion of digital citizenship.
Right.
World citizenship.
So if you're watching the news or reading the newspaper, you probably learned that last week we probably gave out 6,000 iPads to a couple of schools, and within the first couple of days, we had a couple of students, more than a couple of hundred students, that figured out a way how to go around the system so they can go to any website they wanted to. So what we're saying is, these kids, as you know, we don't consider you criminals. You're just curious and super intelligent. And so what we're saying is, how do we make sure that we have a conversation to talk about what does it mean to be a responsible digital citizen? What does it mean to, you don't go out and do things that are non-safe or unsafe, and that you are really aware of your cyber neighbors, so there's no bullying going on. And so things that we talk about are, how do we make sure that across the world, really, we tap into this conversation that's already happening about doing the right things with technology and not the wrong things with technology.
Finally, and thank you so much, can you talk a little bit about the greening of the Compton Creek and how all of that could play with the ASUD?
Absolutely. So, we not only are we neighbors, but we're family. So many people probably in this room, this auditorium, have family members that are part of LAUSD schools. And so things that you do around Compton Creek, I mean, that's an amazing experience. We care about the environment as well, and so we want to make sure that we have a common conversation across all of our families within LA, certainly LA County. And it's not about a boring conversation, it's about how do we make sure we take care of the world that we live in. It is our world, we share the same space.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Okay.
Joseph Alamillo, that's correct, right?
James
Alamillo. You are to tell us a little bit about a project that's upcoming, is that correct?
One that just completed.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk about wrap-up results with Coastal Cleanup Day, of which we did a site here in Compton Creek that was predominantly attended by Compton High School students. And so we had about 110 high school students from 3 classes out on Compton Creek this past Saturday for International Coastal Cleanup Day, which is the largest volunteer event worldwide. And we were happy to have a site here in Compton Creek. We had, like I said, 110 students, and they collected over 800 pounds of trash just out of Compton Creek here. So it was a large effort and a lot of work put in.
And had there been that many students before coming out to be a part of a single day?
Not at that site. We'd had actually the Recycle Club from Compton Creek High School, or from Compton High School, run a couple of our events before in the past, but this past one was the largest, 100 students on record for us coming out, and that's just a showing of the effort, not only by the high school, the students, staff, but by the participation of Creek 101 that we talked about earlier, of putting all these pieces together and then coming out for an action item to do something to benefit not only the creek, but, the watershed overall.
Well, an action item, certainly, but it seems like it's becoming a movement, which is exciting.
Yes, it is. And as we see the numbers grow, and we see as social media can play a part in that, I believe it's only going to grow even more as we get the word out. We're going to do these more frequently, and the hope is we have more and more people coming out.
Mr. Alamios, thank you.
Thank you so much.
My name is Terrence Coles, and I'm working here to help produce this and put it out for Social Media Week. We want to ask you guys with your smartphones or any time you get online, if you could please hashtag SMWLA and also hashtag SMW Compton Creek. That'll let everybody know what's going on here, and we want to really spread the word in social media. And also your friends can come and see you guys in here, because we're going to actually show you guys in the audience right now. So please, hashtag all your friends, SMWLA, SMW Compton Creek. It's your chance to be a star. Don't be shy. So we'll see how many people we can get to view, and if you can get somebody to actually ask a question, we might have something special for you. Also, hashtag Heal the Bay for our friends at Heal the Bay. So we have hashtag SMWLA, hashtag Heal the Bay, hashtag SMW Compton Creek. We'll have more social media public service announcements later in the show.
Compton, I'd like to introduce you to Tina Michelle.
Hi, guys.
Tina has an online show called Tina Speaks. She's going to talk a little bit about that, and she's going to talk about her input into Social Media Week and some of the activities that she's working with. Thank you.
When Kevin said, let's participate in Social Media Week, and I sort of looked at the scope of it, I realized that not a lot of black and brown people were present in that space. So I decided to do what any New York girl would do, which is hijack the whole event. So what we decided to do is do something every day and make sure it's on blast in all the countries and all the outlets. And why is because my key sponsor, Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, they are the #1 employer of black and Latinos. And what makes it so wonderful about that, they're very serious about making sure our communities grow and create jobs. He also creates films, and I think people don't know that. We have a race team, which is the #1 Porsche that beat out Apple, Pepsi, and Coca-Cola. The Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles race car beat out Apple, Pepsi, and Coca-Cola this year. And we also have Pitbull Boxing, which Mookie is the featherweight champion right now. Yeah, so he came out of a community just like the communities that we are representing here, and we made sure that he had food, clothes, apartment, shelter, everything, focus, and he is a champion. So those are some of the collateral, some of the things we do. I mean, I think you know about some of the movies that we have produced. We make sure that actors that are not working are working, and we put money behind it. So there's work within our communities. There is a lot of hope. So my focus this week was not so much just let's tweet, let's Facebook, let's do this, let's do that. My focus was real hope socially and what it looks like. So we started Monday, not with just a social event, but I had the Dalai Lama's healing practitioner in my studio, and we did meditations and intentions for the week for the whole world. We had Randy Taryn, who is an award-winning documentalist for George Lucas, come in, and she has a movie called Project Happiness, and we talked about that. We talked about hope for this generation. What we did show was, I graduated high school when I was 16 years old because I hated it. I did whatever I could do to get out of it. And my mother made a deal with me. If you can get out without dropping out, I will back you up. So I went to school during the summer. I went to college wherever I could. And then I was on a plane to England at 16 years old to study at Oxford Preparatory School of the Arts. But it wasn't because we were rich. My mother was a single mom, and my father was absent. It was because I was focused and decided to do it. We lived in the projects in New York, so it was not exactly that we had the money ourselves. It was organizations like the ones you see here that I got involved with, National Urban League, NAACP, and other organizations that actually got me off the streets and into school. It made my science make sense. So that's what we're doing today.
Were you part of the driving force behind Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles moving digital?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And all the wonderful things that we do there, I said no one knows about it, so I partnered with Media Moguls, which is Larry Witherspoon, who actually developed and is the co-partner for RMC, which you have been there with Michael Collier, Roscoe's Media Center. So it's rmconair.com right on Pico. And we said, let's create an outlet for our kids to be able to come and learn. So we have young people there all the time, and they get paid, by the way. They're not free. And they also get free food, free fried chicken, of course. And they learn how to work the boards, work the cameras, be talent, everything. They learn it all. And I'm not that easy on them because I started at 16 years old. I was in broadcast media where you had to get an FCC license. You remember? That was a long time ago. Yeah. And I probably was the first black female host of a heavy metal show in New York City. Yeah.
Wow. So there are opportunities for students to move digitally into the real world where there are work opportunities. Are there any questions for Tina Michelle?
What a lot of students look at me with, the look that's on your face is the same look I had on my face. Where does my future start? And the only thing I can say to you is that it begins now. When I decided to leave home at 16 years old to go to Europe, no one in my family ever did anything like that, ever. When I was 17 years old and started producing talent shows in Mount Vernon High School, no one knew that someone like Sean Combs, the background dancer for Heavy D, would be actually famous. But I had the opportunity to work for Uptown Motown and produce those talents and actually manage them. So it's not a matter of what you know and what you do not know. What I know about the students here from last time we were here, that they're brilliant, they're smart, they're beautiful, right? They just need access. And so we've developed access in Africa, access and through equalaccess.org, which is another partner organization. I want access here. So I'm asking the companies here to put their money where their mouths are and to make sure that these kids have iPads, computers, just like our friend said before. Make sure that they have the opportunity to be in those things that's gonna give them vision. For the next 2 days, I have 2 more events. I have Socioki tonight, which is social karaoke in Long Beach. I know it sounds funny, but we have people doing socialized karaoke from Beijing, Osaka, Sydney to Long Beach at the Seabird Jazz Lounge.
Can anybody imagine what in the world is social?
I made up the word socioki.
Socioki. Socioki, does that?
That's right, social karaoke.
Oh, very good.
Social karaoke. So we have people actually, as we speak, uploading themselves, singing what they call today covers. And they will be played they're actually going to be played starting at 6 o'clock. I just got a surprise that my dear brother that I managed for 15 years will be coming to judge. And, we got the Grammy for Quincy Jones's project a year ago. And he's going to be judging. He was the first judge for Motown back when Andre Harrell took the stage. So it's a great opportunity for people to come and really be seen by people who actually have signing power.
And who is your dear brother?
Kevin Dean. Kevin Dean, yes. I was blessed to represent him and my cousin Kyle Bino. We worked from Albie Shore all the way to currently Nicki Minaj and Naturally 7 and Michael Bublé.
Tina, thank you. We'll be back with you shortly. It's time for our panel now, I understand. Ah, please.
She was here last time with her beautiful floppy hat.
Yes. Thank you.
remember
Thank you,
that.
Tina. Now, so that I don't mess up the name again, please.
Sonia Trammell Jones.
Sonia Trammell Jones, you're with the Army Corps of Engineers.
Yes.
And what do you do with them?
I am an equal employment opportunity specialist, and I conduct outreach to minorities and underserved communities. Jobs, education, finding our next group of leaders for the Army Corps of Engineers.
And what relevance does that have then for students at Compton?
Because this is our fertile proving ground here. This is where we come and we find our next group of engineers, our next group of equal employment opportunity specialists, our next group of planners that will develop the city, the nation, and other places around the world that we operate with the Corps of Engineers.
But as I understand your position, it's not simply employment, but it's equal opportunity employment. Can you talk about that, please?
Yes. In the federal government, we have initiatives to make sure that we represent underserved communities and people of minority backgrounds, the black and the brown, in our communities. When we look around the table in federal agencies and we don't see many of us, people that come from underserved communities or women in leadership roles, African American males in leadership roles and Hispanics in leadership roles, my job is to go out and find out how we can find that talent pool.
And how does students begin to prepare themselves for the Army Corps of Engineers, but more than that, these whole wide career fields?
Well, first, Compton High School is embarking on a very important part of being successful in your life, STEM education. Having a STEM education or STEAM education, because arts is very crucial to being able to create and imagine those architectural things that we utilize in the Corps of Engineers. But we start here with supporting their educational programs, like we have an e-cyber mission program in which the students participate virtually. They go home, get on their computers, get to do Google Hangouts and chat rooms with other students around the country that want to participate in science projects, learn from each other and learn how to interact, as well as come together with a special program or project that helps their community. And they find team leads in technology, science, mathematical, engineering backgrounds to help them bring that challenge to a formulated project. And we support that in the Army Corps of Engineers, because if we do not get out in our communities, find these students that otherwise don't know about us, we have nowhere to go to find our next group of employees.
And this is widely known, this e-cyber mission?
It is not widely known, but it is becoming widely known. It's a project that the federal government has embarked upon for the last 12 years. We have had schools and communities here in Los Angeles that have been national winners. The students that can participate are 6th grade through 9th graders. And the reason why we get out here and do this is because they usually do not have professionals that look like them, professionals that know what their daily struggles are, that know where their knowledge gaps are. When schools don't have technology, we need professionals in my arena to come out and assist by any means possible, and that's what we do.
And so this is a nationwide program then?
It is a nationwide, actually is worldwide, because we do take this program to Department of Defense schools overseas. So it's a worldwide project that is hosted by the Army Engineering and Development Program and director of the National Science Teachers Foundation. And in having that collaboration together, we reach out a little bit further than our borders in the smaller towns and communities where the Corps of our Engineers operate.
And that's why the social media week opportunities work for you then?
Very important, yes, it is, because children learn that they can participate in the e-cyber mission while they're sitting at home watching BET.
And so for the students at Compton, particularly the e-cyber mission programs would work for their little brothers and sisters that are coming along. Is that correct?
And the freshmen here. The freshmen and Compton High School is a feeder school. So they have junior high students that are very interested in it. Their freshman students are welcome to attend. And the best part about it is if they're really, really serious about their education, if they win a challenge, they can win up to $8,000 in savings bonds for their future.
That's wonderful, wonderful, thank you. And now you're going to be around all day so we can get your feedback on the various things that are happening.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So next we have a panel discussion on the whole Compton Creek process with Mr. Ed Murphy from Heal the Bay, our gracious host, Dr. Laurenita Holloway, I believe Mr. Robert Delgadillo from Compton Planning Department, and Ms. Sonia Trammell Jones from the Army Corps of Engineers. So really what this is about is just a little bit of a roundtable discussion to know what it means to the city, what it means to Army Corps of Engineers, Heal the Bay, and Compton High School to all come together to pull this group of kids together to utilize STEM, STEAM education, and what that might mean for the city, for the future, for the kinds of things that we all want to see happen. So, I guess the first question I would pose to all of you is, if you could talk a little bit about both the environment, the city here in Compton, and then STEAM, what STEAM may mean from your perspective. That'd be great to start off with.
Sure. Can you hear me? So at least from the Heal the Bay perspective, as I mentioned before, let me go with this mic. As I mentioned before, a little bit about the work that we're doing both here at the beach as well as other places is connecting some of that environmental knowledge and awareness to what it means to be a citizen or a community member here and how you can get involved and engaged in what's going on, whether that's improving some of the health issues that we talked about before, whether that's being a part of the civic engagement process, and how that connects to students in the classroom. So what we're really interested in is driving that environmental literacy so that students can get engaged in changing their city or making their city or making improvements to their city in the way that they see fit. It's really about empowerment through education. Okay.
It's my turn. Working here at Compton High is the best job I've had in all of my 3 jobs I've had since I've been working. But I really work here because I love the students. And they are great. They're brilliant. They have all these ideas. Oh, you guys are gonna make me cry. And they need the opportunities to be able to show their brilliance. And I think if we embrace their brilliance, then we as a community do better. When we kind of try to hold back on those things, we miss out on some of the really great ideas that our students have. And they're the inspiration for this particular event. It was really interesting talking to them and saying, do you know how to tweet? Do you have an Instagram? And I said, you would never have thought that your teacher would be asking you to tweet about an event in class that's going on that is connected to what's going on in your city. And they really do have an opportunity to reach out and take hold and do the thing with the city and the Army Corps of Engineers and Heal the Bay. And it's wonderful to have all these partners to come in and work with our students.
Thank you. The city views the Compton Creek somewhat differently. We look at it as a resource for the community, for both the youth and the older adults. The Compton Creek operates as a regional bike trail, a pedestrian, and an equestrian trail as well. It also has, at the southern edge, a soft bottom component, which the city is partnering with the Coastal Conservancy to improve it. Right now, we are looking at Can we change the design of the current creek to promote biotic resources, riparian habitat, as well as convey floodwater so it is a safe waterway, but also offer an opportunity for the youth to use it as an outdoor classroom. Heal the Bay right now conducts seminars, educational classes out there, so we want to continue that. Compton Creek overall also has several locations that offer points. Compton High School itself, on its, I believe, western edge that abuts Compton Creek, has an outdoor classroom that offers the opportunity for the students to learn more about Compton Creek. Compton Creek, although right now is a concrete channel, historically is an old river that has run through Los Angeles, from downtown Los Angeles all the way to the ocean. We're trying to promote Compton Creek to the youth as well as the community as a whole to use this. We want to encourage the community as a whole to take a pride of ownership in this creek, to both maintain it and enjoy it and use it as a learning opportunity as well.
My interest for the Corps of Engineers and for the students here is, I want to share a little known fact as well. This afternoon's feed into the school, I graduated from Gary Westside High School. I got my spark in interest in the federal government because we had a program very similar to this when I was in a sophomore in high school back in 1984, and an African-American astronaut, Mr. Retired General Charles Bolden from NASA, who is now the director of NASA, came to my high school, and he spoke to us about science. And then I was majoring in school in science and mathematics and it's music. I used to play saxophone. But I was still trying to figure out my path, what I wanted to do with myself, because I was a sophomore in high school. And he sparked a fire in me, and my ex-husband as well, who graduated from Westside High School with me. And as we progressed in our lives, I went on to be selected for a position as his executive assistant while I was in Japan with my ex-husband. So these kind of events open the door, not only to the possibilities for us, but the things that we think that we cannot do can come into fruition. And I want the students to understand that it may start locally. The things that they're doing with Compton Creek, the support of the city to help you all green the area that you live in, taking pride in your areas, your home, because this is you. This is a reflection of you. And Dr. Holloway's efforts to show you and open the world to you. It's a starting point. It's a launching point to a career that you may never, ever expect where it will land, which has landed me here with the Army Corps of Engineers. I enjoy my job going out to share with students who did not know the possibilities and do not understand the possibilities for them to do great things. And instead of telling them about the great things, showing them the path, the road to get to that, the importance of STEM education, where it can lead you, the end results, whether you choose to act locally at home or whether you choose to take your career on the road. There is a place and a point where you can enter.
I think it's very important, the whole notion of what this all means. Now, I know it's hard for students perhaps to get their arms around the notions of the greater, wider world and how it all starts here. But if you guys can just address that, please.
You know, when the students were presenting earlier on what they had seen and learned at the creek, I think one thought that I had just reflecting back is that it was clear that the trash was certainly overwhelming. If anything, the trash is just beyond comprehension. Often taking students out to the beach after what we call the first flush or the first major storm, when all the trash has washed down the storm drain system and has made its way to the beach or to the river, the notion of being overwhelmed. It's a task or it's a problem that we can't quite surmount. But then being involved in that, in this game, in this business of trying to get people connected and involved, to have 100 or more students come out for Coastal Cleanup Day from Compton High School, to remove hundreds of pounds of trash in 2 hours, right? We could definitely clean up longer, but hundreds of pounds of trash in 2 hours is kind of incredible. So, hey, that's to the students. I think the notion of overwhelming is certainly met by the notion of commitment and the notion of engagement. This opportunity, this connection, really is just, there is a team and there are people invested in trying to solve and deal with this problem. And the more that students are aware that these kinds of opportunities are available, the more trash we can remove, the easier solving that insurmountable problem will be.
I think my whole understanding of this process is that we have these students sitting here now, and a lot of them question, why am I in biology? Why am I in chemistry? How does this affect me? You mean to tell me that these chemical bonds are actually going to have something to do with my life? It's in a book. We're doing this so they can see how it actually affects them. When they walk out into the street, when they walk out to go home, when they walk to go get that bottle of water, when they end up at the beach, how does what they learn in class actually affect them, and how can they use that to implement and make where they live better? Because if we don't make it better, nobody else is going to come here and make it better for us. So we, as the adults in the conversation, have to start talking to the kids that in the conversation and bring them in and find out what their ideas are and give them the power to go out and change and support them in their ideas. It's really important that we support them, because eventually they are going to end up supporting us. And how we support them is how they're going to support us. And we're supposed to keep those things in mind.
From the city standpoint and from my personal standpoint as an urban planner, I would argue that the wider context and the way it would relate to the students would be, here's an opportunity for you to change your environment, to change your city. Right now, the city is working with several groups I've mentioned, Coastal Conservancy, Mountain River Trails, to alter the design of the creek. So what you see out there now will not be out there in about 3 to 4 years, specifically around the soft bottom portion by the hotel casino area. That's going to be redesigned. As an urban planner, I'm going to play a role in redesigning that, changing that. Hopefully years from now I can come back and say I had a role in doing that, along with the community. Here's your opportunity. We are going to have community meetings in the future so we can solicit the input of the community, and that includes the youth, in terms of what do you want this creek to look like? How do you think it would be a benefit to you? So there's your role in helping the design of this creek. But in the future, if you want to try to be an urban planner, if you want to go into that field, you have the opportunity to put your thumbprint on the physical environment in this city and any other city in various levels. So that's something to consider. Whatever you do, you can have an impact on the future.
I also think that it is important at the student's age here to understand that you have an impact. Cleaning up Compton Creek is a very important facet of keeping your neighborhoods green and clean, because what will it look like in 15 years? Will you be able to drink the water? Will you be able to breathe the air? Will you be able to see natural habitats and animals and life that is indigenous to this area in 15 to 20 years? And most of the time, because we are not conscious of those things, even though we learn it all in high school, we tend to take our minds to other things that are seemingly more important. But if we don't keep the waterways, our watersheds, and the ecosystem working and flourishing, we will not have anything left for us to flourish on. So learning about your ecosystems, learning from Dr. Holloway and Heal the Bay, and learning about urban planning is very, very important to your future. What will be the things that change your impact when you become our age as adults? And this is a beginning for you to understand those things in your community that will impact your future.
I have a question. I'm an artist. I didn't understand science nor mathematics that well. We just heard from a fellow named Ronaldo Anderson, who is an Afrofuturist. And he argues, and NASA argues, that storytelling, understanding the future, understanding ways of looking at the future, understanding ways to bend emotion, all of those kinds of things tell us about the future, but it also tells us what is possible. What are your thoughts about how to move the arts in and around the very practical notions that you were saying, sir, as an urban planner? How do we use the arts in all of that? From all four of you, please.
That's a good question. In fact, a part of the overall garden master plan for the Compton Creek includes an art component. Right now, what we've done is put up several signs, art cutouts of the animals that used to live on the creek. We've included signs that provide information. Also, as part of the future, what we're calling Phase 3 design of the Compton Creek, is certain areas where we are calling them creative design areas, which is specifically to encourage participatory art features, public art, human scale art, where you can learn as well as have an artistic component such as full-size musical instruments that can be activated by the wind, musical instruments that you can play, a rock garden, certain canopies. We want to make these areas artistic to encourage people to come out to be aesthetically pleasing, but also to facilitate the education of the components of the creek, its history as well. So art is a very critical component of the overall master plan design of this creek.
I think one thing that's interesting to me is the Afrofuturists, and I actually kind of interested in futurism in general, but especially some of the writers, they dream about what the future is going to look like sometime out there. And I think it's a matter of the engagement. It's a matter of the advocacy. How are we going to get there? What are the steps that we're going to take to walk that story? There is some future for Compton Creek, and there's some future for the environment, namely that it's going to be something. It has to be something. It has to be something that we can live on. It has to be something that we can enjoy. It has to be something that we can sort of breathe the air and drink the water. How are we going to get there? Because you certainly can't drink the water at Compton Creek now. The air in South LA is pretty rough. So if these things are going to continue to support life, we have to walk those steps. We have to get there. I think part of connecting environmental literacy to social advocacy or civic engagement is to let you know the story that has taken us here has gotten to this place. It has gotten to Compton Creek covered in trash. It has gotten to sort of limited access to these environmental spaces. How do we get to a future that we can dream about? What are the steps that we take? Knowing that there are some people with some plans and there is some sensibility about what the future may look like is exciting, is hopeful. I certainly love hearing about the plans that are out there for Compton Creek, but I want those who need to walk the walk to know that there are steps that they have to take. Otherwise, we just won't get there. The future just doesn't happen. We build it, we create it.
Oh, I was going to give it back to Mr. Gantz. But I think I was sitting here and I was trying to think, how do I express this? And I think the saying is a picture is worth 1,000 words. And we have tons and tons of kids here that are artistic and they walk into science class and they don't understand. And they don't get it until you ask them, okay, we'll draw it. Or can you make an advertisement for us? Can you put this on paper? And all of those things come in mind because you're not necessarily going to look at a PowerPoint and want to read 5 paragraphs. You want pictures, you want ideas. It's conveyed through art. Throughout civilizations, we have more art than we have books in relationship to that. So as long as we are cataloging what we do in art and we are connecting that to science, it takes us so much further because we're able to reach more when we include the art and when we utilize it versus when we segregate it and put it off to the side and say, oh, it's an elective. No, it's part of life, it's part of culture, and we have to embrace it all.
Excuse me, if I could just add one more thing that you brought to mind, and that was in the creek, the overall design is very artistic as a whole because if you look at the creek now and most of the channels in Los Angeles County, they're basically inverted concrete channels, and that was the design back then. They were primarily focused on engineering. Design, artistic design, aesthetics, how they looked, was not a consideration. Just simply conveying floodwater was. That thinking has gone. Now when we do creeks, waterways, we also look at the aesthetics. How can they also be used for pedestrians, bikes, parks, places that offer viewpoints, vistas? So the whole thinking, the whole frame mindset of how do you improve a waterway, how do you improve a creek, has done a complete 180 from just make it a concrete channel, convey the water, call it good, to now introducing artistic design. Whenever we do a creek, the primary concern, besides conveying water, is how do we make it look good? How do we make it inviting to people?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Can we have a final, just understand once again for our audience at home and for our students here, your names and what you do so that it'll be imprinted on our mind, please.
I'm Sonia Trammell Jones, and I'm an Equal Employment Opportunity Specialist and Outreach Person for Army Corps of Engineers. I make sure that we have minorities and women and people with disabilities in federal jobs.
My name is Robert Delgadillo, and I am the Interim Planning Director for the City of Compton.
My name is Dr. Laurenita Holloway, and I am Compton High's Science Department Chairperson.
And I'm Edward Murphy, and I goof around with kids in classrooms and take them hiking along creeks in hopes that they care.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, panel. Thank you so much. Tina,
Yes.
I grew up in the arts.
Yes.
You grew up in the arts.
Yes.
We found a way to use our art to make things happen. Here are students who are very much involved in the greening of Compton Creek. And it takes various disciplines, a number of different thoughts and ideas as to how to go forward. What do you say to them?
You know something? I really want the students to tell me what they think of this stuff. Any brave volunteers? What did you get out of what you just heard from the panel discussion? Anyone? 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 Come on, just one. What did you get out of it? Okay, I need you to come up. I can't see you through the lights. I need you to come up. I want to know what you got of it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because as I thought about green for the past several years, being in entertainment, everything is digital. So it is green.
Yes.
We have decreased our footprint 80% over the past 10 years when it comes to consuming materials that would affect our environment. But the greenest material in this room is what? What do you think the green?
Our minds.
The people that are sitting in the seats. If we can realize that we are green people and we educate green people to take care of their environments in a green way, then I think we've conquered the thing. Instead of just through systems and administrations, which we need them, but we need people to get involved. So
here are our students. Come.
I want your name and tell me what you got out of the panel discussion.
My name is George Camargo. What I got out of the panel discussion was many information that is very useful for us and what we were doing with the creek and every cleaning activity.
So what are you going to do different from this point forward now?
What am I going to do different is that I'm going to be
Unless you're so completely responsible, you don't have to change anything. What are you going to do different?
I got to admit that I'm one of those people that sometimes they throw like pieces of gum or like trash, little trash into the streets. Everybody does it, but from now on, I'm gonna be very cautious of what I do. I'm gonna think about it and throw trash responsibly into proper ways.
Bravo, bravo on your commitment. Yay. And even if you just decide for a moment, just today, that today you're gonna make sure that the garbage you see goes where it belongs, then you'll make a difference. Just you, take responsibility for yourself. And if everyone were to do that, that would make a big difference just here in Compton. Tell me who you are and what did you get out of the panel discussion?
Hi, my name is Vanessa Felix, and what I learned is that what we do in our environment affects everybody, not just that single person, not just the animals, but everybody. And I think it's important as a freshman to get involved in as many activities as you can that can help, because if we don't do it, who will? The sophomores? Well, there's very few of them, and as you see, it's freshmen. And so, not to discourage, but like involve yourself, because believe it or not, you can make a big difference. Thank you.
That's a class leader.
I said that's the next president of your class. Please note her face. What are you going to do different today? With everything that you do already, there's something that we can always do to improve it just a little bit. What are you going to do differently?
Like, well, spread the word. Like, a lot of us, we know it, but we don't talk about it. Spread the word. Like, it's easy as that. Very little steps, very little words can help, believe it or not.
That's your next class president, guys. Thank you, thank you. Tell me your name and tell me what you got out of the panel discussion today. How about you tell me your favorite thing that you got out of the panel discussion? Let's just see if you really were paying attention.
My name is Alexis Hernandez, and what I learned was the repairing zone.
That was what?
The repairing zone.
The repairing zone?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is that? Give us a mini synopsis.
It's like the gutter.
No pressure.
The ecosystem that collects rainwater and leaves in the streets.
Okay, so what are you going to do different?
I would do different. Will spread, like what she said, spread the word.
Ditto her.
Yeah, and do cleanup days.
Do cleanup days?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you really going to do that, or does it just sound good in front of all these people?
Yeah, I would do.
So can you really commit to that? And the reason why I'm saying it this way, on my little show that we do, everything is about what do you need to do to be it, to do it today. So what are you really going to do today? When you leave here, what are you going to do differently? A big cleanup day is great, but you're going to make it discouraged because people are going to go, I'm not doing that, I have things to do.
Well,
right?
Spread out the word, maybe.
Spread the word.
Yeah.
And then you have a cleanup day, right? Your commitment could become contagious.
Yeah.
Okay? Thank you.
My name is Reynaldo, and I learned about Heal the Bay. Okay. That Heal the Bay is a nonprofit organization that helps other like ecosystems that are in danger or need help.
Let me ask you this. Did you feel that these solutions that they're presenting today have to do with you, that you can actually make a difference, or do you feel like this is just grown folk business? Do you feel like you can actually participate in the answer?
I do feel that I can participate in the answer because it helps my city and everyone else who's in here, and it's just to a different way of living.
Okay, so what's the one thing you're going to do today that's going to be different?
Hashtag.
You know what?
Hashtag.
Hashtag. Okay, what's next?
I don't know.
Stuff?
Stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have one more here. Tell us your name and what you got out of the panel discussion.
Well, my name is Alonzo Vera. I actually came up here to ask a question, if I could learn.
Okay.
What is the long-term effect of garbage in the Compton Creek?
Okay, so from one of our experts that just left the panel, the question from the floor is, what are the long-term effects of garbage that is left in Compton Creek? Can we have one of our experts answer that question? Edward?
Hi. So what was the question again? I'm sorry.
What is
Step into the lights.
what is the long-term effect of garbage in the Compton Creek?
Well, asking you a question, sir. How long does plastic take to break down?
I don't know. That's what I'm
Take a
asking.
guess.
4 years? 10
Longer
years?
than 4 years. Like a
Never.
lot.
Never.
Well, hundreds of years. So plastic, trash that makes its way down from a Cheeto bag or from a cup or a water bottle or some of those plastic groceries bags that we saw, if not removed, just going to hang out there or get washed down to the ocean. The largest source of pollution in the ocean is trash from the streets. So unless we do something about it, it becomes an insurmountable, unsolvable problem. If just left there, it's just going to continue to destroy that environment.
Thank you.
Sorry, that was sad.
I have a quick question. How does that make you feel?
Makes you feel bad about me throwing trash. When I throw in the trash, like I'm eating chips, boom, and it goes swashed up into the Compton Creek.
Yeah.
Rain. So I guess I'm just gonna stop throwing trash.
You're going to stop throwing trash.
Well,
Thank
try
you
my
very
best.
much. You're going to try your best. Minute by minute. Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, just looking out to the audience. Hey, guys, how's it going? How many of you guys, if you want to do me a favor and stand up, if you went out to the Coastal Cleanup Day, if you were part of the cleanup, stand up, be counted. There's a handful of you. Take some time. Round of applause. Those of you who are not standing, we missed you. We have snacks and things. It's fun, and it helps. I think that's what yeah. Guys, I encourage you. Coastal Cleanup Day is once a year. We also have other cleanups. Robert Delgadillo mentioned that the city does cleanups once a month along their portion of the creek, so there's always an opportunity to help. Something you can do today, tomorrow, all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Tina?
Thank you. Yes.
To close out this particular session, the students are now acquainted with the notion of service, the notion of cleanup, what it can do. Can you talk a little bit about social media that all of them are fairly familiar with, how that helps them in terms of being digital citizens and citizens of the world, and what that means?
Well, what's great about social media is that your world becomes bigger, right? You can now meet carefully through screening people from all over the world who are just like you. So a lot of times in high school, we tend to feel, some of us when we were in high school felt that no one sort of gets us, or we don't belong anywhere, or it's not my clique or my tribe. What social media allows us to do is actually be part of communities of people who look like us, meaning not just racially, but that maybe likes the arts, likes fashion, likes music, likes the environmental conversation. So it's relevant. Kids today are more on top of it than we are, and they've learned to only talk to people that they want to talk to and make sure that they block the people that they don't want to read their stuff.
Terrence, we need one more admonishment from you regarding hashtags and what these students are to be doing. So come forward. Tina, this has been an exciting session.
Yes.
I'm sure our worldwide audiences are as excited as we are, and that they have learned a little something about what's happening in our corner of the world. Terrence?
So once again, if everybody has an opportunity today, please hashtag SMWLA, hashtag SMW Compton Creek. We also have hashtag Compton High School, or Compton HS.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So we're going to actually also have a little video clip to play. We have one other person here to talk about the arts. And we really want to have Mr. John Katzman, the producer of Redemption, Ricky Williams' story. So I'm going to play a little clip from that. And I want John to come up and talk a little bit about the arts so you guys can hear a little bit more about how the arts play into all of this as well.
Thank you.
John Katzman. John Katzman, you're a rock star here.
Hello, Social Media Week and Compton High School. I think they're going to play a video first, right?
I'm going to do
I said I was going to be the baddest gangster that ever lived, and I became that.
I have to write about this.
He was raised
raised on the streets of South Central LA.
I never backed down ever. That's how I built my rep.
And became one of the founding fathers of the most notorious gang in America.
I said I was gonna be the baddest gangster that ever lived, and I became that.
I have to write about this.
He's a convicted murderer.
He has ducked any reporter in 10 years. He's been on death row for 12.
I'm here to see Stanley Williams.
The most feared man on death row.
Maybe you could start by telling me who sent you here.
I'm here to unearth the truth, your truth.
We can't do that.
And a nominee for the Nobel Peace Prize.
I want to stop this madness that I created.
But no company is going to publish a children's book written by a death row felon.
I spent my first decade here on a predictable pattern of negative behavior.
Jamie Foxx.
Revenge is no longer in my vocabulary.
Gangs and Your Neighborhood, written by Stanley Tookie Williams.
Lynn Whitfield.
What you say, you renounce gang violence. You can be a marked man. Are you ready to take that chance?
I don't want my legacy here as simply being the co-founder of the Crips. If I can keep a kid from coming to this place.
I nominate Stanley Williams for the Nobel Prize for Peace.
You support a murderer. Support human rights.
Chances to save his life are almost gone. Look at me. This is not a gladiator school. You will not prove anything in here. This place does not make you a man.
They denied your appeal.
FX Original Movies presents One Man's Journey from Damnation to Redemption. Presented by DirecTV. Premieres Sunday, April 11th at 8, only on FX.
So, John Katzman, your film Redemption. What brought you into this in the first place?
I like stories and characters who have really big turns and changes. So a character that has a really big arc is really appealing. So to think that a person started where he came from and then wound up becoming nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, I thought was an amazing story and a great arc, a great story to tell, and we could attract great actors.
So, first off, where are you going next?
If I knew you better, I would have asked you to do it.
I would have been an amazing Tookie. For this audience, Compton High, Social Media Week, what is the relevance of a Tookie's story? Tookie
Williams.
Well,
once Tookie had time in prison to think about what he had done and what happened, he realized that education was the most important thing he could do. And he went back to his own life and he thought, if I could talk to the 6-year-olds, then I could change the direction and what they were interested in. So for Tookie, it was all about education and early education. And so he wrote some books that were really successful in the Bay Area. And that's really what helped get him nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. And it turns out that it's actually not that hard to get nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. All you need to know is you have to know someone in a Senate somewhere in Europe. And you only need one person to suggest that. But as a producer, it was nice that actually happened, because from a branding point of view, it helped promote the film.
But now here you are. You're out of where you grew up in Los Angeles.
Yes.
So you were faintly familiar with the Tookie phenomenon.
Yes.
I'm about to get to that. My partner Terrence Coles over there is asking me to hurry up and explain who Tookie Williams is. Do you students know who Tookie Williams was?
Tookie was one of the founders of the Crips gang, and he was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. He was convicted of killing 4 people, and he was the last person executed in the state of California. And he was an incredible person and had a huge following and wrote amazing children's books, and he was really a great leader, actually. But
so in forming the Crips, he went through a transformation, or perhaps the transformation came later, but he was a bigger than life person. Is that my
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he talked about growing up that he was either a victim or a victimizer, and what an awful situation that was in, and how he wished that he could have risen above that. And that's why he turned to education, and that's why he turned to famously brokering peace treaties between gangs.
So, in your interviewing him there in the prisons, what was that like? What is it like when you first met this man who was bigger than life? I mean, he was huge. Not like the actor that you chose to play him, rather than come to me. What was it like?
Well, first of all, he said that only Denzel could play him, and he didn't think Jamie was good enough, but it turned out that Jamie was good enough.
Talking about Jamie Foxx.
Yeah. I'm sorry. The question was.
What was it like interviewing him when you first
Well,
met him?
he was literally and figuratively a larger than life figure. So probably 300 pounds and 7% body fat, and he did everything very slowly. And so in San Quentin, I had to meet him in a cage, and we would buy him food from the vending machine, and he would eat the food from the vending machine at San Quentin and say, "This is like eating at the Ritz."
So he was on death row then?
He was on death row the whole time that I knew him, yeah, and when I first met him to get his life rights. And yet even from death row, he had this incredible influence and impact.
So what's the life lesson then that you, as a producer of this film, what do you walk away with?
You know, I walk away that if you want to make a difference, you can. I mean, he could have sat in that place in San Quentin and done nothing. And instead, he got thousands of students to read his work. He brokered peace treaties, wound up being nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. He popularized and made it easier for people to understand his situation and the choices that he had to make growing up. And and I understood why there was such a big arc to his story.
So here we are. It's 2013. Tookie has been gone now for 4 years?
Yeah.
For 4 years. Social media has taken over the world. His ways of having to communicate inside of prison has changed dramatically. What's the lesson here?
I think social media has completely leveled the playing field. So, Stan Williams was a leader, and he found a way to lead in the only way he knew how. That was his opportunity. But today, there's many different ways to lead, and to become a leader and create content that people will follow sets you up for the rest of your life. So every young aspiring writer, director, producer that has something to say that can create a following, that's actually what the industry is looking for. They want to hire people who have a following. A lot of times people get on TV shows as aspiring writers or first-time writers. Those are terrific jobs, and their first job is to be head of social media. Well, if they already have a huge social media following, they help bring awareness to it. If you're an actor who walks into a casting session and you have 10 million Twitter followers, that's more people than actually watch the show. So if Kim Kardashian were to do a piece on a guest starring role, her ad on Twitter saying she did it would reach more people than the network's advertisement itself. So it's much easier to become a leader, and if you have something to say, if you can maintain that that presence online, it serves you really well. If you want to write a book, the publishers will tell you, where's your 10,000 Twitter followers? and you guys can do that because you're all online. So in effect, they are creating content by simply being this leader of these many followers. Exactly.
And it is all about creating content, isn't it?
Yes, and it's all about Marshall McLuhan. The medium is the message, right? so it is literally come true.
Well, John Katzman, so you had this success. What are you doing in your day-to-day, workaday life?
Right. So as much fun as it is to produce movies, a lot of times you also need a day job. So currently I'm executive director for the West Coast Division of Columbia College Chicago. So it's the country's biggest media arts college, and we have hundreds of students that come to our program in Los Angeles every year, and most of them wind up working inside the industry.
So is the industry growing?
Yes, there's more opportunities to make less money. But that said, there's more opportunities, and you can, it's an incredible time of change. There's so much opportunity, especially for young people, because the older generation doesn't know it as well as younger people do. So just keep doing what they're doing, building followings and pursuing content and ideas that interest them, and the followers come to them, and then the advertisers come to them.
The advertisers come to them. The students, I am somewhat amiss. I should have given John Katzman his proper introduction. This is Dr. John Katzman, and thank you so much. So what is next for you?
I'm looking at a Jack London movie, so I think we'll probably make that next year.
Is there a role for my
you?
type?
Well, it's set in 1906, so
there were people my age in 1906. What are you saying?
I'm just saying, it's going to be different. I don't think Don King was around in 1906. Sorry.
Hard audience. So you're looking at a Jack London movie?
Yeah, looking at that. Looking at creating some online education opportunities, so putting some of the things that we teach online. So I'm very excited about that. The miniseries has come back, so I'm looking at a couple, large-scale productions like that. So,
John, you're in front of not just the students of Compton High School, theater school for all kinds of things, all kinds of possibilities, leaders of the future, but Social Media Week 2013, September, so therefore the audience is also the world. But you're speaking to the Compton High School. What do you say to them about their future, about where to go, how to look within themselves for possibilities as they look outside? And finally, leadership, because this school, we understand, are leaders. These people are leaders. They understand where they're going. In terms of leadership, they simply need to know what to lead, where to go.
Yeah, I think boundaries are being shattered, culturally, financially, racially, and I think the important thing is to actually keep working hard to go after whatever it is you want. And there's less excuses for rich people who don't pull things off, and there's less excuses for people with less resources as well. So it's really going to be about merit and working hard, and the person who works the hardest is going to do the best in the future.
And one of you might be the next producer who moves John aside and says, listen, your movies are fine, but we got some more and different ones and perhaps even better ones. So
I hope so. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
you.
Dr. John Katzman. We got some more and different ones and perhaps even better ones. So
I hope so. Bring it on. Bring it
on. Thank you so much.
The rest of the background is very muted.
We got some more and different ones and perhaps even better ones. So
I hope so. Bring it on. Bring it
on. Thank you so much.
Okay, am I talking just to you right now or talking to others? Okay, when he does, just okay. At this moment, no one can. Am I talking just to you now or to others? Okay, well then I'll wait. Okay.
General Arnold Bray, are you there, sir?
Well, I am, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. You are. We are watching you here in the Compton High School auditorium in Social Media Week 2013. We would like to understand, and so thank you for joining us. We'd like to understand a little bit more about who you are and what you do, so that we can put it in context with everything that we've seen today. You know, Compton is very much involved, Compton High School is very much involved in the greening of Compton Creek. That's understanding what the problems are in that whole Compton Creek ecosystem that is choked, and how to clean it up, begin to look at it and with the different eyes and moving forward. So that's Compton's small little part of the greening of America and understanding how we go forward. Can you tell us from your perspective how to move forward?
Well, first of all, I heard most of what you said, but I heard the most important thing I heard was Compton Creek, and I heard students. And that is an absolute part of what I have a passion for. Dakar Interactive, Terrence Coles, and yourself have been doing a tremendous job about reaching out to the students of Compton Creek. And we've probably had a relationship now that goes back with Dr. Bradley and Dr. Holloway for now a little over a year. And just trying to reach some of those great students who can be broadened by the opportunities that exist in the rest of the country, because we know their minds are great, and we want to bring some of these opportunities from Southern California to the rest of the world. As far as who I am, I'm a former brigadier general in the United States Army, airborne ranger for all those folks that like that kind of stuff, and extremely interested in seeing how a lot of our talent that comes from different parts of the country somehow don't get the opportunities that I saw and I was exposed to. I'm a kid from South Carolina and Columbia, as a matter of fact, and I fortunately had a pretty good jump shot and probably an equally talented artistic pen. And so I was able to get exposed to ROTC and get a chance to actually go from an area that at one time in my life only existed for about 5 miles. And then I finished up with being on 6 continents and over 50 plus countries. More important, I got a chance to find out that my mind was as good as anybody's in the country. Some of the things that I had missed was opportunities as we move forward. And as I had a chance to talk to people like Terrence and talk to people like Dr. Holloway, I see in Compton some of those same kinds of great minds, and more importantly, minds who are interested in sciences, technology, engineering, and math that haven't been exposed as much as they possibly could be, and then the ultimate opportunities that they might find if exposed early enough so that they can be influenced by colleges, influenced by some of the things that the Department of Defense offers outside of uniforms. Some of the things that they're seeing right now as they work on the Compton Creek project, where they're seeing the Corps of Engineers involvement. And so Corps of Engineers makes them think of something else differently if you hear it out of context. But if you get kids involved early enough with enough opportunities, enough options, they can make great life choices. And because I was fortunate enough to get exposed to the military, and fortunate enough to be able to rise to the rank of brigadier general and be able to travel the world, I saw that first, my view changed at each level. But I also saw people who I thought, like those in Compton, who are probably more talented than I am, but didn't have the opportunities early enough. So my goal has been, my passion has been to try to reach in some of those schools, expose some of those great kids, some of those great minds to other opportunities. And some of those, I shouldn't say kids because they're not, they're young adults. Some of those young adults who also have artistic talents, to get them to thinking differently. You know, there was a time when the innovators in sciences, the Einsteins, the Da Vinci's were artists, because that's where the freedom and the boundless ideas can come from. And if they embrace the sciences early enough, they can also learn how to take dreams and bring them to fruition. So this becomes part of my passion. And that's why I'm thrilled to virtually be inside that auditorium with those students.
Thank you. General Bray, we've heard a little about the cyber mission. Are there other programs that the Compton students and the students worldwide can involve themselves in that you're associated with? Uh-oh. General Bray.
Yeah, absolutely. There are other programs specifically with the Communication Electronics Command out of the East Coast that looks at everything that is electronic in nature, that the students can be involved in early enough if they get online and actually start to solicit opportunities, solicit jobs. And it's called CECOM, C-E, Charlie, Echo, Charlie, Oscar, Mike, CECOM. They have other opportunities where they take kids in high school and they can apply for internships that will take them and put them on college campuses over the summer, and then give them a chance to compete for scholarships and, more importantly, compete for jobs in that organization as they go forward. Yeah, I think I've said the key parts, but I will say one more time. There are opportunities out there, and I alluded to it by mentioning just the Corps of Engineers, and I mentioned it by talking about CECOM. But in actuality, I wore a uniform for a long time. And you have young men and women who are talented, and on their list of things to consider might not be the military as an officer, but it should be, because there are 1,100 universities in our nation that will allow them to be an officer equivalent of those who go to West Point, and give them a chance to be an Army officer, and whether they decide to stay in for 4 years, 5 years, or make a career out of it, it ought to be on their list. And I guess what I would say in this message is, don't close the door on any opportunity that you may be faced with. Look for opportunities, use those talents you have to go online and be able to access information and virtually explore your options, even from your den, living room, or the backseat of the car with Wi-Fi, whatever it takes. And again, I'm so proud of the kids, the young adults that are there. I'm proud of the parents, the teachers, and my hat's off, always props to Dr. Bradley, Dr. Holloway, and of course, our esteemed host. Thank you all very, very much. It is Communications Electronics Command, Charlie, Echo, Charlie, Oscar, Mike. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Social Media Week, Compton High.